Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experiences. And I'd like to say a big hello out to everybody. This is the first program since the last program ended way back in 2018, summer of 2018. So I'd like to welcome everybody back, and we will be keeping the archives intact for this series of shows. And so welcome back, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and it looks like my sound check with Vincent is looking good. He says Chrism is coming through, and I already spoke with Stephanie, and she said that the sound check is good. So we will go ahead and begin. But at first, I would like to thank the silent benefactors that have made this program possible, and the silent benefactor that's going to make the books possible as well. So we do have some upcoming events coming forward soon, and we'll keep you apprised here at this program. This program will go as usual, but I would like to emphasize the questions and answers. So if you have a question, go ahead and prepare that question, and you can call in at the area code 347. That's a New York area code. Even though I'm in Northern California, Blog Talk Radio itself is situated in New York. And so that guest call-in number is 347-850-8464. 347-850-8464. And you can come on board and have your question. I encourage people to ask their questions, because when they do so, they ask a question that many other people are thinking, but maybe too shy or too, maybe they're not in a position where they can ask that question out loud on the radio. And so I do encourage everybody to ask those questions that are important to them regarding the Kundalini. So here we go. It is important, ladies and gentlemen, that you own your Kundalini, that you do the practices, that you do the exercises, that you do the meditation, you do the prayer, you do the devotion all the time. And there's no break periods with Kundalini. There is never a time that Kundalini says, oh, okay, take a break, whatever. It's always there within you. It's an inside-out situation, and you've got to really respect that. You don't get to take a vacation from your heart, and your heart doesn't get to take a vacation from you. You being the ego consciousness, the one that's doing its best to call all the shots. And I know I just made a huge noise right there. My apologies. In this series of programs, I will strive to be as quiet as possible while I'm in the studio. So no rocking chairs, and hopefully no dog barking or anything like that. So you don't get to take a vacation from living in the organism, the biological organism that you're living in, this divine chalice that holds the emerging divine entity that you are. We don't get to take a break from that. And so even though some of the head pressures will come on really strong, some of the cranial pressures will come on really strong, I want to make it clear to you that you don't get the opportunity to just say, hey, I've had enough, I need a break. Okay. The closest thing that you can do to encourage that is to stop specific practices. So let's just say the head pressures are coming on so strong that you can't even see straight. You can't drive. You can't get up out of bed. Stop doing your pranayama breathing. Stop doing the 5 Tibetans. Stop doing generative practices that bring more and more energy into your system. Sometimes You just need to let the energy that is already there process itself into your system. You're not taking a break because the energy itself is processing it into your system. You're just not adding more consciously. Okay. This can be very helpful with that. But as far as turning the Kundalini off, that's not going to happen. Once you're in the awakened state, and even really once in the second stage of activation, you're pretty much, the door behind you has closed. And there is no turning it off. There is no backing out. There is no saying, oh, this is just not my plan of action. It's not going to get me wealthy. It's not going to get me my soulmate or my twin flame. So I'm not going to do this. You don't get to have that option anymore. And all of the little I or the egotistic desires that you may have used in order to get into the awakened state, or at least the second stage of activation, they're not really the main concern of the Kundalini. The main concern of the Kundalini is bringing you into a stage of enlightenment. That's really what it is. I'd like to welcome the people in the chat room. Let America do something. Let America talk. And Vincent Watchnick and Mohan Noon. So welcome to the chat room. I know this is new. This is a new program, and so we have a lot of new people on the group. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of new people on the various groups that I've advertised this on, the mostly Facebook groups, and of course, I haven't advertised it on Yahoo. But for people that follow this, they know that it's coming on again, and this will be every Saturday afternoon at 12:30, right after lunch, or depending on how you work. But yeah. So you don't get to take a break from Grace, and Grace will not take a break from you, although she does, and I say she as in Sacred Shakti, Sacred Mother, she does operate in terms of a sine wave. And so if you're climbing up the sine wave, you will get amazing levels of phenomena. Okay, amazing levels of phenomena. And then as you reach the top of the sine wave, oh my gosh, you're so full of phenomena, you don't know what to do, and then all of a sudden it stops, or it begins to drop off, or it feels like your luck, so to speak, begins to change. And she offers some more challenging, maybe less comfortable and less ecstatic, less blissful types of experiences to come your way. And nothing is wrong here. Nothing is wrong. This is just the other side of the sine wave. Okay, this is going back down the mountain and dealing with it's kind of like, let me rephrase it a different way here. As you go up the sine wave mountain, she gives you bliss and ecstasy to encourage you to continue to come up. As you're going down the sine wave, if you think of in terms of gravity, well, you're going down, so you're not having to climb up, so it's not as much work. And so she gives you more challenging types of experiences to work with as you're going down the mountain, because, gravity's helping you. And then you reach back down to sea level, so to say, and then you start climbing up the mountain again, and more phenomena comes, and so on and so forth throughout the process. And as you accomplish these tasks that are given to you by the Kundalini, as you accomplish these tasks, you raise the vibrational frequency entire sine wave itself. So if the sine wave is operating at, say, 1, and you've been doing this work for a good 3 to 6 months, and you're consistent, and you're diligent, and you do as much self-correction as you need to do in order to attain specific levels of phenomena, well, you're raising the frequency of the sine wave. But even on the other side of the sine wave mountain, as you're coming down the sine wave, and you're processing, say, the more difficult phenomena that's coming your way, you are also raising the frequency of the entire sine wave. Sometimes even more so when you're practicing some of the harder levels of the Kundalini equations. So there is that. Okay. Okay. Looks like I have some callers here, so I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of calls. And here we go to, I believe this is Stephanie. Hello, Stephanie. Hello. 215-900.
That's me, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. Now, were you calling just to listen
Stephanie.
on the phone, or did you have a question?
Yes. Well, I think I have a lot of questions that I don't know that you
Fire
don't need
away.
to go into detail on there.
Yeah, you go right ahead if you want. It's okay.
Okay. Well, being very new to this and quote unquote spontaneous awakening, I from what I've gathered, anything and everything that's occurred to me is pretty much considered normal. Once this occurs, I realize I had what many consider a near-death experience without being near-death. And a week later, what I learned to be the Kundalini awakening. And since then, I didn't realize I have been practicing the safeties, and I'm very thankful for them. I guess I'm just not exactly sure where I am in the process of things, and I've just been trying to find my intuition or follow my intuition more. I know I was forced to say goodbye to somebody, which was a very strange feeling in person, and to feel and to know in my mind that I was saying goodbye to that person, even though that wasn't my intention at the time. I also didn't feel my body, and I've never done meditation before. I've never practiced yoga before. So all of these things that are occurring with me, I've read similar stories, but I guess I'm just not sure exactly where I am in the process, and if just continuing to do the safeties of what would be best for me.
Okay, so when you say you had a near-death experience without having a near-death experience, can you go into that a little more?
Yes. I woke up one morning and my telephone went all fours and my battery drained, and I can only explain it as a wave. It felt like of information that my entire life made sense up until that point, and that everything was going to be okay. And I was almost in denial of that for a while, but you can't. And at that point, I knew, which I didn't believe really in God beforehand, that there absolutely was a God. And a week later is when I went through the energy surging, and then I had another wave of information that I could only explain as a message of self-love, and I felt almost like dancing molecules in my mirror, and the music was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard.
Let's stop right there now. Now, did you do anything to encourage these waves to come to you? Any kind of a spiritual practice, or any kind of a visitation to a psychic or a channeler, or any Reiki, anything like that?
It's interesting. Well, no, I didn't do the Reiki until after that, and then that was only once I discontinued it. The only thing I can think of was the first of the year, which that was about a month and a half before all of this occurred with me. For the first time, I was turned on to Joe Dispenza that I had mentioned before, and I've been suffering from a back problem for quite some time now that nobody could really figure out. And
Can you go into the back problems? Was it like lower back problems?
Well, it's more in my mid back. It was T4 through about T9. I just had some very minor, slightly bulging discs from a car accident in May of last year.
So you had a car
so
accident recently. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
that's good
almost
to know.
1 year ago. And that's, I'm glad you asked me about that, because it seemed that I was, quote unquote, fine. The chiropractic care seemed to work, and I attempted to go back to work, and I go into this excruciating pain that now I correlate to being the Kundalini not allowing me to do certain things in my life. So,
well, have you done other things besides work? Have you tried to do things that you were normally able to do before this and were also stopped at doing?
Yes, like taking care of my niece. I was taking care of her a lot, especially when I was out of work because of my back. And but I'm able to walk for miles. Especially the first of the year was the first time I truly believed in a higher divine power. And I had always said I wanted to begin a spirit, or I guess I did begin looking more on a spiritual path in November of 2017. But I just didn't really see, I know how ridiculous this is now, how I could grasp it without some sort of scientific something of, what was in my mind at the time for how open-minded I thought I was. But that 1st of January was the first time I truly believed, and I was able, I should say not just able, I was compelled to walk. I walked almost 15 miles that day, and at the time I could barely walk a mile because of my back.
Wow.
And then
15, that's quite a hike.
Yes, I know. And the walking has increased tremendously in the past month. And all these different signs are what led me to you in the group. Looking back, I feel like I was getting a ton of synchronicities also starting after the 1st of January, which I kept turning an eye to until I kind of couldn't any longer. And when I looked back, just a week or two ago, I became extremely paranoid. I think because everything kind of caught up to my current point. A lot of what had happened since the 1st of the year seemed to make complete sense to me, and all these signs I feel like led to. Like I'm learning now, I don't know, these different signs. I feel like I'm given, where my eyes are drawn to different numbers, on homes or something that I never would have looked at before. I don't know. It's been pretty wild. I'm more grounded now than I have definitely been in quite some time. I went through. Right. Sorry, it's a lot.
Hey, can I ask you if we can go back to the car accident? How?
Yes.
What kind of injuries did you receive? During that. Did you hit your head? Did you hit your head? Did you hit your shoulder? Was it more mid-back, lower back problems? What happened in that accident?
I was making a left-hand turn, and I was almost T-boned, not quite T-boned. And, I don't recall the actual moment of impact. The car rolled and I came to. But, I was taken to the hospital and cleared. I had some ribs out in my back, and like I said, all these different minor.
But you passed out. You passed out during the impact.
I assume so. I don't recall being hit, and it was only less than a minute. Then when I came to it, that the car was rolling, but I don't recall. There was a very brief time that I was not. That I don't remember. That I assume.
Did they say? Did the people that helped you? Did they say that you should have been hurt more than you were?
Nobody really said too much. I was a little bit out of it, even though I recall everything from when I came to. I thought I was still facing the direction I was driving in, and they said I, started to walk into oncoming traffic when I was trying to reenact the accident for them. So I was,
Sure.
knocked around a little bit, but really, I mean, I was walking fine. I walked myself to the ambulance. They did the CAT scan and an ultrasound on me and released me, shortly after. And then I did feel amazing after I went through physical therapy, and then, of course, they were doing the Percocets and everything else, and nothing seemed to be working, and the chiropractic care did until I tried to go back to work. And it doesn't make sense because I was on extremely light duty, and I do just as much work pacing myself throughout the day at home, taking care of my father or, like I said, my niece for a while. And it seems that I'm able to do that. I do have to still rest my back, but I've actually been walking easily at least 12 miles a day for the past month.
That's really great. Yeah, I mean, I'm walking, 4 at best, and plus I'm being pulled by a dog, so actually I think I'm being walked. So this is kind of where I'm being directed to focus on. Is it's the accident that began everything.
Okay.
Everything started there, and that period of unconsciousness was a moment when the activation occurred. Powerful activation, and everything that you've been describing since then is definitely a manifestation of Kundalini, for sure. Especially with the not being allowed to work. And not being allowed to take care of your niece, being corrected through pain, so to speak. Like the Pavlovian correction teaching method that the Kundalini will often employ is if it doesn't want you to do something, then it makes you feel bad about doing it, or painful about doing it, and then as soon as you stop doing it, the pain goes away, right?
Yep. Yes.
So this is typically the signature of the Shakti as she begins to train you towards a more, shall we say, abundant scenario of Kundalini awakening within you. Now, you say you've been doing the Tibetans all your life, and or the safeties all your life, and I just don't think you've been doing the 5 Tibetans all your life.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I have not been doing anything like that my entire life until I found you,
right.
Probably a week or so after I found you. I began making that part of my daily routine.
And she didn't interfere with pain.
A day right now.
No. She didn't interfere with pain.
No.
She didn't say, "Oh, don't do this," right?
No.
Okay. And so I know you say you're only doing 10 Tibetans per day, but what level of forgiveness in your life are you doing? What level of gratitude are you expressing in your life? These are just as important as the physical aspects of the safeties. How is that for you?
Yes, I feel I up until today I had a very strange 3 non-hours of sleep last night, so today has definitely been off. But up until that point, I feel like I had been doing a fairly good job of getting myself to that state where I feel great, of gratitude and acceptance of where I am. As far as forgiveness, I've been very prompt, even on very minor things in my life, especially in the past few weeks. I've made a lot of changes. After I had my extreme blissful days that I thought would never end, and all of your videos I understood, like you said, where you just want your bare body like in the mud, and I experienced all of that. I was compelled to listen to Amazing Grace after I had that wave of God's love and God's grace that one day that really changed everything for me. But I was somewhat in denial for a while, but naturally you just can't shake it. And I didn't realize perhaps this information that, had been downloaded into me or whatnot, and for probably about a month, I just thought I forgot how smart I was because I had all this time to do all of this reading, and things just really started clicking, and I realized that's, I think, that brought me to that place of paranoia. I said I felt like I reached a place where I was having a hard time distinguishing my thoughts now from what I knew. That was,
were you able to discontinue any caffeine intake?
Yes, I was. I was regularly drinking coffee. I've been eating watermelon. I was drinking a lot of electrolyte alkaline water, so that was not too big of a transition. I discontinued marijuana and alcohol, which alcohol I wasn't using often at all during all of this experience so much. But the marijuana I had been in many forms since I've, I continued to be able to unable to go back to work. But nothing helped that pain, which I...
Are you still using the marijuana?
No, I discontinued that as well.
Good. Well, your question to me initially is, where are you within the Kundalini process, right?
Yes, especially when I couldn't feel my body that day. That was the same day I exhibited paranoia.
Yeah, that's the day that your adrenals were being squeezed of more adrenaline, and that's a heavy phenomena to experience, and it will make you paranoid. I mean, for sure. But since you've discontinued these stimulants and you've been practicing the safeties for a time, and you're receiving phenomena probably more than you're describing, and you're being directed not to go to work, not to raise your niece. You're walking how many miles a day? 8, 9?
I mean, that's a minimum, anywhere up to 15 on any given day and night. I had
that's
a few
amazing.
weeks ago, I started getting shin splints, but that just seemed to be the only thing that felt right.
Get some shoes. Get some good shoes if you can. I mean, really good walking shoes. Your second stage activation leading into the third and last final stage of activation, which leads you into the awakened stage. The awakened stage has many stages within it, but the activation stage for you, you're very similar to some of the other people on the group, the Facebook group, Kundalini Awakening ! That have that have taken the Shakti pot, for instance, and started to receive a lot of different phenomena in a consistent fashion, a lot of downloads of information. Your phenomena happily is centering around your physical conditioning. I mean, you're able to walk far longer than you ever were before, right?
Yes.
And you're able to survive, taking care of your father. Monetarily, you're able to survive without having the job that she won't let you do, right?
Well, monetarily, it's very interesting you say that. So I haven't had any income whatsoever since almost a year ago, since I was in that accident in May, except for the few times I continuously attempted to go back to work. And I'd last a few hours, and I wouldn't be able to stay. I'd be bent over in excruciating back pain. But today I received a notice from unemployment that I'll be getting $82 a week. I'm in the fortunate situation because I'm with my father that I do have a roof over my head, and so my basic needs, and I try to. That's a large part of my gratitude. I'm writing a lot of gratitude lists. I've written forgiveness or letters to different family members that I feel like were brought back into my life for a reason. Like my aunt that helped raise us, who unexpectedly ended up staying here for a brief stay, and to my father and to my aunt. My family thinks I've lost it somewhat, so I've attempted to explain some to my sister so they don't stick me in a nut now.
I would advise you to just keep quiet about all that.
Okay.
You might look into disability as well. That can bring in some financial resources too. It's it's directly caused by the accident. And go ahead.
Yeah, it's what happens when you're a waitress and don't claim all of your money, and then something like this happens.
No. Disability is not connected to your waitressing.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's connected, I believe, to your taxes. You pay taxes your entire life, and this entitles you to a level of disability, as far as I understand. Now, if anybody listening can correct me, I'd be appreciative of that correction. But you might want to go to the unemployment office and ask them about your eligibility for disability. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and you'll have to have a doctor's note, I'm sure. But
that's what I was worried about. See, I canceled. I mean, I didn't. I was going to ask you, and then I thought it was common sense not to get these injections that have steroids in them. So I kind of discontinued any sort of medical care because nobody really knew what was going on with me at the time.
Well, see,
and now that I realize
that's enough.
why.
That's enough. I mean, for the medical industry to have a big question mark about what's going on with you, that's enough for an MD to put on a disability eligibility form. You know, phantom pain or whatever due to a car accident. So yeah, you can definitely do that. That's an option. And another option is finding a different type of work. I've worked in restaurants too. I know exactly what you're talking about, and maybe it's not going back into the same field is something that may be an option for you. But at this point, at this second stage activation, I think going along as you've been going along and moving with the grace that the Kundalini is giving you and doing those walks, and I'm getting to start singing Amazing Grace, or singing in some format will also help you clear up the fifth chakra for sure.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I listen to a lot of music. I don't sing a lot of music.
Right. And it's time to maybe branch out into new areas. The Kundalini will force you to branch out into new areas. You know, and you can kind of see this in the fact that she won't let you go back to your old familiar job. And I would presume that it's not associated with that specific restaurant, that it would be any kind of waitressing type of position.
Yeah.
Okay. Any type. And you paid your dues there. Now it's time perhaps to move on to another area. What other question do you have that I might be able to help you with?
Well, I appreciate that. That answers a lot for me, just kind of knowing where I'm at in this process. I thought, you know, maybe that hour I first believed the first of the year might have ignited it, but everything makes a lot more sense now that you're saying that the car accident is where everything began, because I did not tie it back to that at all, because I, you know, was able to rehabilitate up until a point, but you're right. Once I attempted to go back to work, it was already active.
You were able to rehabilitate probably a lot faster than you normally would have by virtue of the Kunalini.
Yeah.
Using its, you know, divine skill set to initiate levels of healing upon you that would probably outpace what would have occurred had you not had the activation take place.
Yeah. Yeah. So the work, I'm going to try to do something different, and I appreciate what you said about the disability. That was my fear, the fact that like you said, the phantom pain, they almost look at me, you know, nobody can understand why I get in this excruciating pain, and now that I know why, I didn't know how I'd be able to get disability.
You never want to mention Kundalini, though. In a medical environment, they just don't get it. I wish they did, but they don't understand Kundalini at all. So, and neither does your family, by the way. you just scare your family into thinking that you're nuts, and they won't want you taking care of Dad.
I know you're right. My sister, I mean, I don't expect anybody to totally understand, and I've been trying to do a better job of not making any sort of comments or, you know, acting in any way that would be related to stemming from fear, even if I don't feel fearful in the moment. And I appreciate you reminding me of that, because I guess because I am in such a situation with my family and with helping my family, I guess I just worry, you know, if I don't, you know, I start randomly doing these kriyas or anything else. And my father, I think, has prayed his whole life for me to find God more. You know, he's very involved and very committed himself. And now that I'm like, you know, I don't talk about it all the time, but they've seen this dramatic change in me.
I would suggest his prayers have been answered.
That's what I told him.
I will also
Mr.
suggest
Chrism,
that
thank you.
The Kundalini that is helping you is also helping him.
Oh, wonderful. I am happy to hear that, and I'm thankful I see that she allows me to continue to prepare meals for him, and even though I'm unable to work, you know, I've always, I've really lived a life of service. I don't know if that's relative up until this point. I played as hard as I worked, as hard as I volunteered. For, like, I've helped many people to end of death, and I always volunteered. Yeah, I nannied for people for free my entire life, like extreme ways. So and I never thought, I've always been a very generous and giving person, and so I always looked at it as financially irresponsible and, you know, whatever else. So that part, I am thankful that comes very easily to me. Trying to stay out of the fear of the future with this income situation, and my father's on dialysis 3 days a week. You know, I try not to think worst case scenarios, you know, of where I'll be, but that's pretty much my biggest struggle right now.
Well, no, I want to give you the opportunity at this point to really ask any other question that you might have.
Thank
what
you.
else has been on your mind?
Well, those situations being the largest. My sister's in lives very close to me, and she's in a very unhealthy relationship with a drug addict, alcoholic who, you know, needs to go away. And I just worry, you know, about my niece, you know, that I try to help when I can now. Like, I'm able to watch her for an hour here or there, or my father will have her over, and I'm able to assist. But every time I've attempted to keep her.
How old is she? How old is the niece?
Just over one, a little over 1 year old, 1 year old.
I see. And you're not allowed to help her anymore, right? You're not allowed to work with her anymore.
I can only I don't even want to say like supervise. That sounds silly, but it's just me with her for like an hour if I go over, so my sister is able to get a shower and I feed her dinner or something, or if my sister brings her over here to my father for some hours, I'm of course already here, so I'm able to help put her down for a nap. But I just can't believe how, I mean, I'm blessed that I'm thankful that I've been able to, after all of this time now, almost a year later, like you said, since activation, to understand the messages and understand my body a lot more. And when I was agreeing I was going to go over there just maybe 4 hours every morning, you know, Monday through Friday, my brother-in-law was going to pay me something to do that, which I know might also be part of it. But there was just no way. I knew that it wasn't going to be able to happen. I could feel it in my back. The back pain has been a major telltale sign for me. Through all this, once I realized.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, one of the reasons you may not be allowed to interact as much with your sister is because of the level of entities that the brother-in-law is bringing in. Okay.
Yeah.
And the amount of entities, the amount of negativity, the amount of hurtful programming that obviously your Kundalini does not want you to partake of. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you should, not that you have any choice about it, but I do support, taking it easy with regards to interaction with them.
Yes.
Okay.
And I understand. I think that's usually my biggest emotional breaking points is, fear for my family.
Right. Well, Stephanie, I really only have positive things to say about you and your condition. I want to congratulate you.
Excellent. Thank you.
I want to congratulate you for having the self-discipline that you have, for taking the walks. This is a very, very good thing. And as you take the walk, say the prayers of gratitude to Kundalini, because if not for Kundalini, you're not walking that far, if at all.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And, and really just, enjoy this time. Enjoy this time. In many ways, the Kundalini will begin to show you visions, or you'll have dreams, sometimes waking dreams, that will show you where she wants you to go at a certain time, and what kind of a career or job or financial situation she wants to bring to you. And then you go ahead and you jump into that. And if you like, feel free to ask me that question, and I will give you what my Kundalini tells me to say. Okay?
Yes, I appreciate that. That is one place where I'm struggling. As you know, I'm new to meditation. I really haven't had any visions. I can't remember my dreams, but I did read you telling them to ask Kundalini, and so I did. I've remembered one dream that seems significant in regards to forgiveness, and you're kind enough to tell me I had to forgive myself at that point. But last night was very strange. I felt like my body, I felt like I was physically tossing and turning the entire time, but unable to come out of my dream state. But so it was only for 3 hours. So I really feel like I didn't sleep at all last night.
Maybe it's good for you to take a nap sometime soon, because during that you may receive another vision.
Okay.
Yeah, like maybe right after this program. Lay down, take a nap. What state are you in?
I'm right outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm in Ridley Park.
So it is like 5 in the afternoon there, or 4?
It's 4:15.
Yeah, like a little siesta. Maybe take an hour nap and just see what occurs. See what occurs. Feel it.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Well, I want to thank you for calling in. Thank you for calling in for this first inaugural, shall we say, return of the program. So thank you.
I love it. I'm very grateful for you and all that you provide to us. Thank you.
All gratitude to Kundalini, my dear.
Yes, Master.
And I do want to mention to everybody that when you access the archives, it'll say the first show, and my benefactor and I were, just testing it out, seeing, how Blog Talk may have changed over the past, 7 or 8 months, and, getting the new account up and going. And we actually had a call in. We had somebody call us in. I was surprised, but, we just went ahead with it and flowed with it, just, the way we would want to do with the Kundalini. And so when you listen to the first show, it was actually a test. I mean, it was only for 15 minutes, I think, 15-minute long program. But that's what's going on with that. I'm going to move on to the next caller here. Let's see. I'm going to come up to area code 289600. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, Chrism.
Hi, Indra. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you.
Good to hear your voice.
I'm sorry?
I said great to hear your voice.
And you have a very recognizable voice, too.
Okay, you recognize me right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a question I can help you with?
Yes. Actually, I just wanted to tell you pretty much where I am with the Kundalini. Well, in the past, I discussed with you that I felt like a wheel was spinning around me and all that stuff, but it was a subtle thing. Where I am right now, it's like I can constantly feel that wheel spinning around me in every direction, left, right, up, down, circular.
That's all good.
And with the
all good.
The Kunalini is running through that wheel. So I was hoping that, you could tell me a little bit more about that.
It's part of the radiance. It's part of the radiance. And actually, Kundalini is composing the wheel. And so
wow.
that is a Kundalini expression. And it's very healthy. I think it sounds really good. Sounds like you're cooking with gas, as they used to say in the 40s.
Yeah, seems like there's it seems
Keep
like,
it going.
and you were discussing with the lady before.
With Stephanie,
and you know what I'm noticing? Like, okay, I'm noticing certain things. Like, I walked into a store, the guy was about to give me 50% off, and just before the discount, I can feel like a warm energy by my heart. So from what I've noticed, I am reading vibrations. I'm picking up.
Oh, I've lost you.
Did you hear me though?
No, I lost you. You're picking up something.
I said, I believe I'm picking up. I'm reading vibrations. I walked into a store. There was a guy at the store. He was about to give me 50% off.
I heard that. I heard that part.
Right. But just before he gave me the discount, I felt a warm energy by my heart. And it's been happening a lot. Like, okay, let's say a person is not telling the truth. I can pick up that vibration, that is untrue.
Good.
How common is that?
Fairly common.
Okay. So I should go by that.
It's called empathic telepathy.
Empathic with an E?
Yeah, empathic telepathy. Correct. Empathic with an E.
Okay.
You're able to read the qualities of the person's emotions and feelings, and they all know. Everybody knows when they're doing something purposefully dishonest.
Really?
And that's what you can. Yeah, it's kind of advertised in their aura, and so you're able to pick up, like you say, the vibration of that in the aura of the individual.
Right. So can that person tell I can do that? Because I notice an awkwardness. Like what?
I don't know that there should be any kind of an awkwardness unless you speak of it. If you speak of it to the person,
I'm very careful.
Yeah, don't ever do that. Yeah, don't ever do that.
No.
But it sounds to me like you're really doing well, Indra. So keep it going. Look, I'm on my phone here, and that's going to run a little. I'm starting to run out of battery here.
No problem. You answered my question. But thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, Indra. It's good to hear you again.
Good to hear you too.
And I'll just put in the blue here, and you can listen to the program.
Okay,
so here we
do.
go.
Bye-bye.
And moving into the next caller. Hello, area code 804, prefix 798. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, I just came across your show. I'm not that familiar with Kunalini. Does that tie in with spirituality or?
It's definitely a spiritual event. You might say it's physio-spiritual because it's a physical phenomena that people experience. And basically, everybody has dormant Kundalini in the last three vertebrae of the tailbone, but like Stephanie, who had a car accident, that dormant Kundalini can awaken or activate within the individual, and it begins to really initiate a very strong process of transformation, what many people would call a divine transformation in the individual. Certain skill sets like telepathy or, telepathic empathy, even some of the more pronounced symptoms like levitation or healing or psychometry or any of the exalted skill sets, so to speak, will come from a Kundalini activation and awakening. And it's a very, very exciting and a very, very profound experience that literally changes the life of an individual.
Thank you so much for that in-depth explanation, because I feel that's exactly what happened to me after a near-death experience and having the time to look.
Near-death people, a lot of near-death people will have Kundalini activation occur to them because of that.
Yes, I am on a very, very powerful path. If I could share my name, I think it would be of interest to you to see my life experiences and how the Kundalini may have been activated to just the way you described in a very powerful way, because I'm working on a huge mission and vision of transforming global economics, education, politics, religion, and more, empowering women and indigenous people globally, as I also root out corruption at the same time.
Well, it sounds all of those goals are very Kundalini-oriented goals.
Yes.
So if you want to share your name, go ahead. Share
yes, I appreciate it. My name is Hugh, H-U-G-H. Last name Traulsen is spelled T like Tom, R-A-U-L-S-E-N like Nancy. You can just put it on YouTube or Google it. It will bring up all kinds of interviews and websites. And I've had UFO, paranormal, and near-death experiences with ongoing paranormal. And I was raised Catholic. I'm not a practicing Catholic at this point. I'm calling out the Catholic Church to stop apologizing and put these pedophile priests in jail where they belong, and to compensate the victims that have been abused to get psychological healing instead of hiding the money.
Well, there you go. There you see very powerful interests. And I have to tell you that your name will go into the archive. So anybody that listens to this will have the opportunity to put that in the YouTube search engine and come up with your good works.
Well, life is very simple. People make it complex, and I am familiar very much with the law of attraction, and what you put out is what you get back. So I do have a Christ consciousness, and he said two basic things on how people should live their life, which you're not paying proper attention to. That's always to put God first, and secondly, love your neighbors yourself. If you can take that into your heart, bring it into your family and into the community with respect for one another, instead of arguing. Nobody ever wins an argument, but if you have the right kind of solutions, the person you were going to be arguing with might see a whole new viewpoint and agree with you.
Yes, definitely. And Christ was teaching about Kundalini when he said, these things I do, you can do and more. And that the kingdom of heaven is within. And that these things I do are of the Father, not of me. And so this is all about Kundalini. If you look at the King James Version, there's a mystical trail within the King James Version of the Bible that totally points to Kundalini all the way. And Christ consciousness is another form of Kundalini activation.
I appreciate that information very much. It's a confirmation what I have felt, and I actually asked Jesus Christ to be my business partner. That's something people can try to do. Not to outdo him, but to have him, whatever I can't handle, I let go and let God. And it can get scary at times because he will be tested, but that's where the faith comes in.
Very good. And thank you for joining our program.
Well, thank you very much for the very in-depth insight to give me the confirmation that show me I'm on track, and I think you'll enjoy investigating who I am and hopefully share it with others.
You are definitely on the right track, my friend. Definitely. Keep it going and walk tall.
Thank you again. God bless.
Okay, and I went ahead and I put you in a position so you can listen to the rest of the program. And moving on to the next caller here. here we go. And area code 307, prefix 371. Hello, you're on the air. That would be area code 804, prefix 798. Are you there? Hello, caller. Oops, wait a minute. Hello.
Yeah, you picked back up on me. I was just listening again.
I think they just disconnected. Maybe they were just wanting to listen to the program. I'll put you in the blue again, my friend. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So the gentleman, Mr. Trolson, I believe, speaks of something that is of extreme importance with Kundalini. And if you're having Kundalini issues, say a blockage along the spine in certain areas, if you're having extreme head pressures or you're unable to do what you used to be able to do, like Stephanie, do some volunteer work. There are organizations out there like Mr. Charleston has that are working to initiate levels of balance on this planet. Extremely important that those kinds of work, which is why I invited him to give his name, because these goals and these actions of grace are extremely important to allowing the populations to begin to express their own level of Kundalini transformation upon this world. There's a lot of information that people are not allowed to partake of, shall we say. And it's the people that have the near-death experiences, kind of like what Stephanie had when she went unconscious during the traffic accident, what Mr. Charleston had in the circumstance that he had his near-death experience. A lot of near-death people go and they come back with a divine mission to make positive changes upon this world and in our societies, the different societies, not just the Western capitalistic societies, but the Chinese society, the Russian society, the shamanic societies with the indigenous peoples. There are levels of balances that need to be given, so that levels of one society corrupting another society doesn't destroy the society that is, shall we say, in a more developmental expression of naturalness. So like the indigenous populations, there are still tribes in the Amazon that have not seen a cell phone or have not ridden in a car or know what a bicycle is or anything like that. And these societies are just as important as the capitalistic societies that use jets for travel, that are exploring space and things of that nature. I mean, it's not all one way. It's a lot like Indra's wheel of energy, where it's going omnidirectional, and the force of the Christ, the force of Allah, the force of Buddha, the force of Great Spirit in whatever classification and belief system that is being offered. These forces are giving us an opportunity to balance ourselves, to clean up our nest, which is this planet. Right before I came on the program, I was reading about the plastic island in the Pacific that's twice the size of Texas, which is, the second largest state in the United States. It's a huge state. I've driven across it a few times. Huge state. And to begin to understand how a disposable attitude, just having the disposable attitude and just, single-use plastics being thrown into the garbage and not recycled and not allowed to continuously resurface society is in fact putting other societies, indigenous societies, in jeopardy. And so levels of self-correction are what we're being allowed to pursue within ourselves and within our societies. And the Kundalini will bring this to light within an individual. So do your best to look at wherever you are in this world, whether you're on the East Coast of the United States, West Coast, whether you're on the East Coast of South America, West Coast South America, look for opportunities to help the environment. And that also includes the animals. I'm not just talking about people here. Kundalini isn't so human-centric as humanity is. Kundalini is represented through every form of living being, living creature on this world. And every form of living creature has the right to live its life in harmony with itself and with the other creatures around it. And you'll notice that all living creatures, except humanity, are able to do this. All creatures do this except people. So because you have Kundalini and because you have levels of radiance that reach out from your physical being into the physical beings of other people, this radiance of love and of health and self-correction and positive, noble qualities, really, really step out into the world, my friends. Step out into the world like Stephanie is doing. She's walking, I think like 10 miles a day. Then if she's walking in a populated area, she's coming in contact, her radiance is coming in contact with people all the time, even the cars just driving through it. When I first started teaching the Kundalini, or the Kundalini started teaching through me, my very first seminar was in Marin, the Marin Civic Center in Northern California, right above San Francisco. And I was given the direction to set up a field of grace that stretched across 8 lanes of the highway or the motorway. And I was told that every car that drives through that field will be changed in a positive, restorative, healthy way. And I'm going to invite anybody else to do this as well. The Kundalini is infinite in its ability to extend itself within a noble gesture of love and gratitude and forgiveness and compassion and helpfulness, kindness and consideration and love upon this world. We can do this. You can do this. All right, so that concludes, it looks like, my hour here on Blog Talk Radio. And it looks like I think everybody here is handled. And so as I did in the previous program, I will do in this program as well. I'd like to thank my mysterious benefactors for putting this program together. Thank you, my friend. And for the mysterious benefactor that is also helping me with the book. I'd like to say hello to Vincent, another benefactor, and Let America Talk, who also joined the chat room. And thank you, everybody, for your participation. And here we go.